Welcome back to the Gem Cutter's Craft. It is the end of the year and I've got one last cool thing to show you before we call 2025 over. So if you've been following my jambpeg journey, which has now gone on for something like 2.5 years, you'll know the name FraLap. It's a machine that I've used on the channel before. It's how I learned to do French style jambpeg. I did so many different videos using that machine, repainting it, building it into my vintage French lapidary bench and all that cool stuff that's been happening. But I want to show you the new FraLap. Now, if you've been watching my shorts, you might have seen this before, but I've got some new things to show you. And if you haven't seen it before, feast your eyes on something that we have never seen. So this is the new FraLap. I don't know what he's calling it. Let's call it the FraLap 2.0 for ease of nomenclature. So first of all, from the old FraLap, the material and execution has been upgraded a lot. Now on the old FraLap we had the base, which was aluminum, and then we had a plastic control box that was separate, that was connected with a cord. He has now combined everything into one, so all the electronics are in this part, all the other bits of it are over on this part. It's all inside of this aluminum case, which has been anodized, which was one of my major complaints. Really one of my only complaints for the other FraLap was the raw aluminum was getting oxidized. So he's solved all that. That's great, fine. He's upgraded some of the electronics. There's now a brushless motor inside of here that's pointing straight down, and the spindle for the lap's pointing straight down. So the belt is now moving in a circle. There's no twist, which means less chance of the belt coming off, maybe no chance of the belt coming off, but also it's a lot quieter, which is pretty cool. All of these things are nice upgrades and reasons why you should consider this machine, but that's not the cool thing that I want to show you about this machine. So if you've seen the old machine, you'll know that originally there was just a hole right here with a pin sticking out of it, and you could take your jambpeg and put it on there, and that was that. Notice the slider here. So if I want to cut jambpeg style, put my jambpeg on like that. I can slide it into wherever I want it to be, give it a little tightening. I'm now in jambpeg mode. I've got my stick, I can cut my stone, I can put it away. If I want to cut the table, here's my table cutter. There's a hole right here that's threaded, so the screw just goes directly down in there. There's my table cutter for cutting French style tables. If I want to do, let's say, an emerald cut, where I need to actually facet the girdle. I don't have it on this base right now, but the typical French style girdle plate fits right onto that hole. And then if I want to use the FraLap preformer, which you may have seen in previous videos, it screws in right here. I can move the splash guard around this way so that the hole's that way, and it'll come down and preform on that side. Super, super cool. And if I was just cutting jambpeg, this is just a really nice upgrade, which I would like to have. Also, it's lightweight. I weighed this. This is 1 kilo lighter than the old FraLap, and I don't know if that's because there's less wires connecting one box to another or whatever, maybe the motor, but it's lighter. The one negative thing about this base, it no longer has a universal power supply. This is a 220 volt supply. Well, this is. If you need to use this in America, you're going to have to get a transformer, a step-down converter. $50 on Amazon, whatever. For me as a traveling cutter, that was like my only gripe with FraLap was, oh man, is it still possible? Now, as I'm telling you about this machine, I have to say this several times, this is a prototype. So this might not be the final model that comes to the market next year. But he's already got these up on his website as pre-orders. So whatever he ends up selling is going to look like this. And so far, everything's cool. Now, we're talking about a jambpeg faceting machine, probably not appealing to the majority of the faceting world outside of a few countries. So if I take off my jambpeg, maybe I'm in America or Australia or Europe or whatever, and I want to cut mast style. Check this out. So this is an old Graves mast that I had, just for an example. This is a left-handed Graves, so technically this is really on the wrong side. Though actually this Graves doesn't really matter. The numbers are here, so if I want to change my angle, I can go up and down. If I want to change the index, yeah, it's a little bit funny this way. But if I had a right-sided Graves, I could easily just throw a Graves on here. And let's imagine I have my lap on there, I got my dop on there, I'm cutting, I can go up and down, just the way I would do on a normal American machine. Now, earlier before I started filming, I tried to see if I could fit an Ultratech mast onto here. And the slot is a little bit too thin for the Ultratech screw, and also it's not deep enough. So I'm kind of curious to have a conversation with FraLap to see, for the final version, could this be adjusted a little bit so that something like an Ultratech head could be put on this base? Because if we're going to make a universal base, why not? That would be really cool. Also, Antoine from FraLap has told me that he's working on his own mast. Something, I don't know, maybe like the Graves, a kind of simple entry-level model. So, okay, now we can do everything we want to do for jambpeg mode. We can put on a mast and do mast mode. If I want to do the mast, I think just having the mast on here means I can do everything I would want to do. If I want to cut my girdles, I can come down. Now I'm going to have to back this up a bit because this mast is a little bit big for this base. And let's see, can I make this go back any further? So yeah, maybe the Graves is a little bit too big. Oh no, that's not true. You could cut right here. So if I wanted to cut with this Graves thing and I wanted to do my girdles, so let's put this on to 90. And we'll bring this down. And I've got my lap in there. Yeah, I could definitely cut. It's a little bit tight. Maybe we would, that's just for the girdle though. If I want to just cut a regular facet, I don't think there's actually anything. So here's, let's say 35 degrees. I'm doing my crown mains. I can bring this a little bit closer. I can raise this up a little bit. Maybe we should put a lap on here to help us understand. So I've got a centered cutting lap here. So that's the height that it's going to be. If I want to close the splash guard, it's just like that. Now this is not a Graves dop. I don't have any Graves dops in the house with me. But this one fits. It's a Sterling dop, but we can visualize. So okay, power switch is here. Speed controller's here. And if I want to go super, super slow, got a pretty nice slow control. I can even go that much. And so Antoine's telling me the brushless motor means that even at low speeds, it still has torque. Yeah, well, I can't even stop it at that low speed. Okay, so that's speed 1. I've been cutting for the last week or two about speed 5. That's my preferred speed. We can go all the way up to 10, which I think is too much. But just to say that we can do it. I think 10 should be something around 2,000 RPMs. So, okay, first of all, notice how quiet the machine is. We don't have that squeaking sound from the kind of Ultratech style cone. We don't have the squealing sound from the polymetric style that has the belt that's twisted at a 45-degree angle. I mean, it's not totally silent, but for compared to most faceting machines, it doesn't have the high-pitched speed control noise that the Sterling has. It's a pretty quiet machine. Our splash guard's here. It just sits right on this thing. Super handy. You got your adjustable screw. My only other qualm or critique of the original FraLap was the water dispenser wasn't very nice. He's solved that. This is pretty nice. It looks to be 3D printed. I've been using this one for a couple of weeks. It's very nice. The adjustable water is pretty cool. So, okay. The other thing we can do, in case of emergency, or maybe you're trying to make the lap stop really fast, there's an emergency stop right here, which is kind of cool, if you wanted it. And then when you want to undo it, just twist it, it's back to normal. So So that's cool. Okay, so we've done jambpeg, we've done mast. Now, let us blow our minds. So if you saw my other video looking at this prototype, this is what's new, what I didn't have before. So when I tested this machine out at the gem show a couple weeks ago, he had the first prototype which had a plastic plate. And that plastic plate, even though I cut a really nice stone that we actually sold just a couple weeks later, it had a lot of flex in it. Now I haven't tried this at all yet, but it's metal, it's got glass. So yeah, the bottom is aluminum, the top is glass. He's got a really nice 3D printed plastic housing and even a little cute, I don't know, ratatouille. I don't know if you can tell, but there's this little extra metal bit here. So this comes down here, and then we need to tighten this. So we just tighten this over here. Now this thing's steady. Now, turn the machine this way. So now I've got the same machine turned sideways, and suddenly I've got this plate on here that can go up and down. Eventually, I think he's going to be making his own handpieces, but he told me that at the beginning, I think you're going to be able to buy the base with a sterling handpiece like this, because we know that we can trust the sterling handpieces. We like the sterling handpieces. And we can put this on here. And so now this height is not right. If you're using this in jambpeg or mast mode, putting it on a normal desk, and this is a dining room table, so it's slightly higher than a normal desk, but putting this on a normal desk would be fine. If you're gonna cut in handpiece mode, this is too high. You're gonna need to put this onto more of a coffee table style, but then we can use it. So I'll stand up for this. So if I'm cutting my girdle, I can put this on 90, open the splash guard door, lower this down until I'm touching. And then if I'm cutting on a normal facet, like a 35-degree crown mains, close that up, push it out of the way, and I'm cutting. So now I've got my handpiece on the plate, just as I would on any other kind of handpiece machine. I can go up and down, I can change my speed, I can turn the machine on and off here. Got the water here. So it doesn't matter if I go this way or this way, jambpeg, handpiece, or mast mode, it works. So this is pretty cool. I think you will agree. This is something that we really haven't seen anyone try to do before. And considering that this hasn't done before, we haven't seen it done this well before. I mean, really, this is now a very well-considered machine. I mean, the manufacturing has really gone to another level in terms of it looks very professional. I'm very excited about this. The other very cool thing about this is the price. So he's got this listed in a couple different options on the website. Now, if you want to get it in handpiece mode, so let's say you want to get it just the base, with the plate, just like that. He's got it listed on the website right now for $2,500. So that's going to give you the plate, the base, all the normal stuff. If you want to get it in jambpeg mode, that's going to include the base plus his jambpeg, which is different than this one, but it looks the same idea. So the jambpeg, the base, a couple of other accessories for the jambpeg style. That's something around $2,500. And then if you want to get it with the table cutter, it's like $3,100 or something like that. So these prices are very friendly. I mean, if you're a brand new faceter and you are looking to get a budget-friendly machine, I don't think that you can find a machine as cheap as this one. I mean, some of the handpiece machines like the Sterling are slightly cheaper than this because on top of the $2,500, you're going to need to get a handpiece that's going to be $500-600 or so. So you're talking about a $3,000 machine. So the Sterling is slightly cheaper than this. But if you want the flexibility of being able to do jambpeg or mast or handpiece, there is no other machine that we can even compare to this. And at this price, it's pretty phenomenal. I'm very excited to see once this is out of prototype phase and we can see what kind of masts we can put on here, what kind of, I think any handpiece will work on here. If you have a Raytech handpiece, that would work with this plate. If you've got a sterling or an imahashi, that would work with this plate. So any kind of handpiece that you want to pair with this should work. Any kind of jambpeg that you want to slide in here, I think, should work. We have to try the KMT. I haven't even thought about that yet. I don't know if the KMT will fit in that rail. That would be kind of cool because you can buy the KMT heads separately from their base. And then if you have an old mast machine, you know, for instance, you know, you can find these old heads. I'm pretty sure I bought this head on one of the faceting groups a long time ago for like 25 bucks. I mean, if you can just find a head with no base, usually they're pretty cheap because who wants that? What can you do with it? But in this case, I've just taken a $25 vintage head, which is slightly backwards, but still works on this base. That's pretty cool. If you're making your own head and you don't want to make a base, this works for that. If you're making your own jambpeg, if you're making your own handpiece, whatever. If you've got antique stuff that you want to mix and match, I think one way or another we could make it work. He could make some kind of a little adapter that would work for some of the other kinds of masts. And if he can get this working with, say, an Ultratech, or I'm not really sure what the bottom of the Facetron adapter looks like, but if the Facetron head could go in here, or yeah, an old Graves, or possibly the one that he's going to make, the possibilities are endless. This is so cool. I mean, this really has to be, for sure, my favorite new faceting toy that we have seen in a long time. Now again, prototype stage, everything's still getting its final details worked out, but this is pretty close to what it's going to look like. Now that he's got the final handpiece plate, that's what I was really curious about. So this whole part's been improved with the lip, with the glass, with the metal, so it's not flexing like it was. But even with the plastic one that I was using in that previous video, where it did have quite a lot of flex because the plastic was flexing, I still cut a really good stone in the middle of a gem show with this, and someone bought it a week later. So it wasn't a junk, crooked stone. It was a good professional quality stone that I cut even with some flex. This should fix the flex, and we've got a very powerful, portable, flexible, adaptable faceting machine at a really good price. It's portable. Maybe you've seen in some of my previous videos on my other FraLap that doesn't have this handpiece plate. I have a whole suitcase portable setup where I'm taking my FraLap with all my laps, all my accessories, all the tools that I need to demo stone cutting, all fits inside of one suitcase that's under 23 kilos, which is the limit for all international airlines. So I've been taking my old FraLap all around the world and doing jambpeg cutting. Now with this new one, which is a kilo lighter, which is probably offset by this thing, I can take the new FraLap around the world and demo handpiece, jambpeg, or mast, depending on what country I'm in and what I want to talk about. Super, super cool. Now, one thing to keep in mind with this machine, this is made for 6-inch laps. This is a 6-inch machine. Technically, with the splash guard on, the splash guard looks to be about exactly 8 inches, so you cannot put an 8-inch lap on here. But I think if you've got 8-inch polishing laps, let's see, I've not tried this before. If you take the splash guard off, will this fit? Just barely. Oh my goodness. So, looks a little crazy. It does fit an 8-inch lap with no splash guard. I don't think he's intending you to do it that way, but if you really run it this way, maybe you can 3D print your own and fit it. But you can see there's just a little gap here. Barely enough. But for me, I love 6-inch laps. I'm happy to have a cheaper lap that's lighter, portable, and a little bit more easy to use for me. So I don't mind. I honestly can't believe the value here. Even at $3,000, even at $3,500, the ability to mix and match all these things. And of course, you're going to have to buy some accessories. You know, if you want to put a mast on there, you're going to have to get a mast. If you want to use the handpiece, you're going to have to get a handpiece to go on the plate. And if you want to get a jambpeg, you either have to buy the one from FraLap, or if you have antique ones like I do, You know, this one is 100 years old. I just cut a really, really nice stone as I've been trying this out in jambpeg mode over the last week on this machine, and it looks super, super nice. Like it's working with the past, with the present, and I think with the future. So I am very excited about this new FraLap. I hope you are too. Go check out their website. This is all still in prototyping phase, but he is, I think, pre-ordering them already. He has them listed on the website. I'm not sure when they're actually coming out, but just wanted to give you a closer look than what I did on that short a couple weeks ago. This is something really, really cool. I'll just keep saying it because we just haven't seen anything like this before. I'm excited. So I will keep you updated in the journey of my jambpeg cutting, but also in the journey of FraLap, who has turned out to be a very forward-thinking creator. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed a deeper look into this new sort of FraLap 2 or whatever he's calling it. And I look forward to seeing you in future videos. If I don't post another big one before the end of the year, happy holidays. Enjoy your New Year's Eve Stranger Things final episode, which is what you should be doing on New Year's Eve. And I will see you with some hot, hot news in the next couple weeks, if not the next month. This has been Justin K. Prim for the Gem Cutter's Craft, and I will see you next time.